Hi, Larry K, ShadowAnyone.com, premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. Today I'm going to talk about your skip's weakest link, and I'm going to give you 2 privacy tips to help keep this from being something that's going to be used against you someday. So first of all, real quickly, a skip is someone who skipped out on an obligation or a judgment, child support, maybe they're avoiding service of process, something like that. We do use that term, skip tracing down someone who's skipped out. We use that sometimes just for missing people we've lost track of. We'll talk about our skip. But most of the time it's somebody who skipped out on an obligation. We're trying to find them. That's skip tracing. And a person who is really taking active measures not to be found, maybe they don't want their car repoed, something like that. Here is their weakest link, and I discussed this on the Investigator's Ultimate Guide to Process Serving under the section for skip tracing detective work. One of the things I talk about there is family, and family is a weak link for skips. And so here's the thing, how do you find out who family members are? Well, you can find that a variety of different ways, looking through maybe old court paperwork, looking for someone who's maybe made bail for the person in the past. Maybe there's a shared address history. You know some of the old addresses this person's been at, and you see some other people that are there, same last name, they're family members. Might be easier to find them than the skip you're looking for. One of the really good ways to find relatives of a person, family members, is the obituaries. If the skip has had an uncle or a grandparent or something, someone who's died in their family, there's frequently a very significant list of people who are family members of the skip that you're looking for. Now, how do you use this information once you have it? You know a family member, you've found a family member because they're not hiding, they're not skipping out. There are a variety of ways you can take advantage of that information. One of the things very commonly is to be using a pretext on that family member. So you might call a family member, or even maybe it's an in-person pretext, and you're trying to get information from the family member about the skip. Another way to use family members for this type of thing, I've had great success with this, is straight up surveillance. You sit on the guy's mom's house and eventually he shows up. Maybe you know there's an event, maybe you look and it happens to be mom's birthday, it's Mother's Day, or you just know this person comes out every week to cut her grass or whatever. So there's a couple of different ways you can take advantage of knowing a family member and how that can help you track down your skip. Now, 2 privacy tips I want to give you that are going to help prevent this from being turned around on you if someone's looking for you. And let's face it, in our line of work, frequently we're making people unhappy. Someone's either losing, maybe a workers' compensation fraud case. The company, because of the surveillance you've done, has found out this person's committing fraud, and now their livelihood is cut off. It's ill-gotten gains, but because of the work you've done, their free ride is over. They're not going to be happy with you. And you run into the same thing with child custody cases. Maybe a parent loses custody of a child. And again, it's not because of anything you did. You're just reporting the facts to the court, and the court makes that decision. Regrettably, there's a lot of people out there who only want custody of the children because that means they get a child support check along with it. And when you work a case and you find that this person is neglecting the child, or the child is always at grandma's and never at her house, that type of thing, the person who loses custody, and really in their mind they're losing a paycheck, is going to be upset with you, and you don't want the tables to be turned where they're tracking you down. So how do you fix this weakest link? How do you keep your family from giving away information about you? There's 2 things. One, you just simply teach your family to say, if someone calls or someone's inquiring about you, the family member simply says, I can take a message for you if you like, or do you want to leave a message with them, with me, and I can pass it along. And they can do a couple of things. They can say, I can pass it along if he gets in touch with me. I can pass it along when he gets in touch with me, or I'll let him know that here's your name and number. This does a couple of neat things. One, It stops the flow of information outward away from you. It doesn't give away anything about you. And really, if they decide to leave a message, usually there's a name and a phone number. So now you've got information coming back to you. So it's very effective. The other thing is, the second tip, just work through a little role playing with your family. So say, to whoever's in your family, how will you answer the questions if the bank calls you and says there's some fraudulent activity on my card and they need to get in touch with me? How will you answer? What will you say when the high school reunion committee calls and says they're trying to get in touch with me? And run through a couple of common scenarios that are used for pretexting information out of family members. This is Larry K, shadowanyone.com. So much of this, a ton more of it is available. When you look at the Investigator's Ultimate Guide to Process Serving, there's, like I say, a whole section there on that. I do over at beapi.com have a course exclusively on skip tracing, the Investigator's Ultimate Guide to Missing Persons and Fugitives, if you want to check that out as well. But I would kind of encourage you to think about that process serving course. It's a really great way to get into the business, to be doing investigative work and being paid for it very quickly. This is Larry K, shadowanyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.